a real lot of people like to see, more than we usually get.
Yeah, and I'm definitely excited to watch this match. So I'm not sure. It looks like who is on the play? Rich was the 4th seed, so Rich is going to be on the play.
Yep. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how that works, based on the seeding, the better seed going into the top 8 gets to choose player draw for the first game.
Yep. So Rich is going to lead off. Hopefully he has an Avacyn's Pilgrim. That's a draw he really wants, but instead he just leads off with a Rootbound Crag, and Chris just plays a Hollowed Fountain. So slow start by Rich, but maybe he'll have an explosive turn too. Ooh.
Wow, I wonder what kind of hand he kept if he doesn't have a 1 or a 2 drop.
I see a Flint Hoof Boar. He must have kept a hand with, some 2 drops. Just the lands really slowed him down this game. You really want to get your Return to Ravnica dual lands or your Gate Crash dual lands.
Yeah, he kept pretty quickly too. I wonder if he thought about mulling this one.
Yeah, I think he probably did mulligan, just didn't really work out. Top of his deck, not too friendly to him. So there's a Flint Hoof Boar. Unfortunately, it will not have haste, and it's only going to be a 2/2.
Wow, pretty unimpressive, just a bear.
Yeah, Flint Hoof Boar grows as long as you have a mountain in play, but as you can see, Rich does not.
So Rich really needs to draw a Stomping Ground or a Sacred Foundry here, something like that. And
ooh, there's a Sacred Foundry.
There it is.
Chris might have been thinking that Augur Bolus was going to hold back that Flint Hoof Boar, but not anymore.
Yeah.
I could definitely see Rich playing that Sacred Foundry right into a Loxodon Smiter.
Yeah, I think he'll play Sacred Foundry untapped and then swing for 3.
Rich's hand is very good. Boros Reckoner, Ranger's Guile, double Restoration Angel, so he definitely has a lot of threats. So that's going to be really good for him this game.
Yeah, that's probably why he kept this hand. He figures that a lot of threats in his hand are more important than a really explosive opening, because Chris does have access to 5 sweepers in his deck.
Yeah, and just one Supreme Verdict could really blow Rich out.
Yeah. So life total is 18 to 20, but that Flint Hoof Boar is about to get into the red zone.
And it does just that. I do see there's an Azorius Charm. Now Rich has an option. He has a Ranger's Guile. So
yeah.
if he wants, he can protect it right here. Let's see what he decides to do.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to, just because I think he'd rather play a Smiter right here.
Yeah, I think Smiter would just be more impressive, and it uses his mana much better.
Yeah, it stinks not drawing the land next turn, but he might not have done that anyway.
Exactly.
Now, Chris Marshall does know about these Ranger's Guiles, just like Rich Nguyen knows about how many sweepers Chris Marshall has, because they both had access to each other's deck lists. In addition to being able to review them, they're up on the Star City Games website overnight, so I'm sure both players know exactly what they're in for.
Yeah, everything. All right, so Rich decides to go with a Boros Reckoner, and he'll pass the turn to Chris. Chris draws for his turn, and just right off the top, he draws a Glacial Fortress and immediately puts it into play. Lots of times when you draw a card, you might want to shuffle your hand around a bit, not really give away what you've drawn this turn. Many players will watch what you draw, so shuffling your cards is a good way to prevent your opponent from realizing what you drew this turn. Could give away some information.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. As you can see, someone like Brian Kibler always shuffles his hand. All right, there's Blind Obedience for Chris, and there's a Devour Flesh.
Wow, so the perfect answer to Boros Reckoner doesn't deal it damage, just makes him sacrifice the creature, and Blind Obedience means that Flint Hoof Boar will not have haste.
Yeah, so Augur Bolus says, hey, I'll attack for 1 this turn, why not? And Rich is going to draw his Flint Hoof Boar, but he'll probably just play a Loxodon Smiter.
Yeah, I think so. He'll get the big threat in there. I don't see any reason to play the boar here.
The only reason to play the boar is to hold up Ranger's Guile, but I don't think that's too relevant here.
No, he doesn't need to protect that boar with the Guile. I think he'd rather protect a bigger creature.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so it looked like he was going to play Smiter, then all of a sudden... Oh, okay. So there's that Loxodon Smiter. It's not attacking, it just comes into play tapped because of the Blind Obedience. Now, Chris really wants to use his Blind Obedience every chance he could get. Gaining small life totals over the course of the game will be really important for him.
Yeah, at this point though, with the life total still 20 to 18, I'm not sure how or rather 20 to 21, I suppose. I'm not sure how relevant the Blind Obedience is going to be this game, because Rich deals damage in such big chunks.
Sure. All right, so this Loxodon Smiter attacks for 4 points of damage, but there's a Snapcaster Mage. So Chris is ready for this. Life totals are correct at 20 to 20. Rich ended up getting 2 life off the Devour Flesh.
Right.
All right, so Azorius Charm is targeting Loxodon Smiter, and Rich thinks this is a good time to play his Ranger's Guile. They're just doing the life total for the Blind Obedience. So life totals will be 21 to 19 right now before blocks. Let's see if Chris just takes his 5 points of damage, which I think he will.
Yeah, he might consider throwing the Augur in the way, but
There's really no need to when he's this high in life total.
Yeah, it's gonna get to wow.
Oh,
okay.
Snapcaster just
It's
chumps.
kind of weird. Why do you think he chumped with Snapcaster instead of the Augur?
I honestly have no clue. I wouldn't have chumped with either. And if I were gonna chump, I would probably just chump with Augur Bolus. I mean, he doesn't have access to Restoration Angel where he could just blink out his Augur Bolus or anything and try to dig deeper. I'm really surprised.
Yeah, maybe he wants to be able to block any Avacyn's Pilgrims or Burning Tree Emissaries that might be coming off the top for Rich.
I still don't understand why you chump block at 21 life with a Blind Obedience in play.
Well, what else is that Snapcaster going to do?
I mean, it could eventually, this turn he could have double blocked Augur Bolus and Snapcaster on the Flinthoof War. He knew the Flinthoof War was going to come down because he previously Azorius Charmed it. So that would have been a definitely better play. Your life total is a resource, and you really want to. Okay, so he's chumping again. So this just signifies that he has Supreme Verdict, but I'm kind of speechless there. I think Rich should probably just pass the turn and not commit anything else to the board.
Yeah, after your opponent chump blocks twice in a row.
Ooh, Rich decides to play out of Boros Reckoner. I'm really surprised here.
Yeah, that's pretty strange. Especially like when your opponent chumps twice in a row, you have to put him on some kind of sweeper.
Yeah, I mean maybe Rich has a read on Chris. So there's an Augur Bolus from Chris.
Not going to pay the extra one because he wants to hold up any potential.
Oh, yeah, see, and there's a Supreme Verdict.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, Chris didn't have the Supreme Verdict, but I'm still surprised that Rich extended to a third creature. I mean, he really didn't need to,
Yeah, so Chris finds the Verdict, but can't cast it yet. And we'll see how much damage Rich can do in his one-turn window here before the Verdict goes off.
It looks like Chris has another Blind Obedience in his hand. Any reason why he didn't cast it?
I'm not sure. He might want to hold up some kind of counter magic, might want to represent a Dissipate. Really, I think there's no reason not to get it out there.
Yeah, and there's nothing that he would dissipate in Rich's entire deck, because Rich's entire deck is all creatures.
Yeah, I don't know.
If Rich were to play a creature, he would obviously let it resolve, because the next turn he gets more advantage from a Supreme Verdict. So I'm really surprised Chris didn't play his second Blind Obedience if that's what's in his hand. It really looks like that to me, though.
So Augur Bolus jumps in front of the 4-power Smiter. Chris takes 6, down to 13.
I also think Rich might have just played that Mizium Mortars there just to get in more damage, just because the Mizium Mortars really isn't going to do anything for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I agree. I would have played the Mortars for sure.
Yeah, just to deal a few more damage there.
So there's the Verdict. Wipes away all 3 of Rich's creatures. And Chris not extorting, prefer to hold up 2 mana. Maybe he has Think Twice.
Yeah, I mean, I still think you would want to extort here. That's the whole purpose of Blind Obedience, to use it and to drain your opponent for 1 every turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't. It looks like he was holding up Ultimate Price.
Just to kill Avacyn's Pilgrim? That's really not that relevant.
Yeah, I think I'd rather hold off on that Ultimate Price. Drain for 2 with the 2 Blind Obediences.
Yeah, that play just seems to be a bit more impactful, I think, on the game. There's a Sphinx's Revelation for 3.
Okay, so Chris going to go up to 16 and draw 3 cards.
All right, so he draws 3 cards.
His opponent has 3 Restoration Angels in hand.
Yeah,
Volcanic Strength, Ranger's Guile. His hand is just really not what he wants here.
I wonder if Rich is still going to stick to a sideboard plan of boarding out 2 lands and putting in more threats because he got mana hose this game. Maybe he'll keep that in mind. So another Blind Obedience, but does not extort again. Very, very surprised. Leaving open 5 mana. I can't really imagine what he wants to do with his 5 mana. Alright, so there's an Ultimate Price on an Avacyn's Pilgrim. And he's going to double exhort this time, leaving up 1 mana, where that 1 mana could have been another life that Rich would have lost. Alright, and there's a Ranger's Guile. Rich decides to save his Avacyn's Pilgrim. So Rich trying to come out of his mana hose here.
Yeah, he really needs that 4th mana source. Normally
okay, there's a Terminus.
Okay.
And
so,
once again, no exhort. Very, very surprised here.
Yeah, Chris has so much mana. I'm not sure what those Blind Obediences are in the deck for.
Yep. All right. Well, Rich draws for his turn and finally draws his 4th land. There is a Stomping Ground. Rich is very happy about this. His Restoration Angels will start coming down, preferably at Chris's end step. So, and yeah, Rich does just that, passes the turn. And Chris draws another land, it looks like, in the form of a Watery Grave, and he just passes back. And there's Restoration Angel number 1 for Rich.
The Restoration Angels march 1 by 1. Rah,
Hurrah. Restoration Angels 1 by 1.
Hurrah!
Hurrah! All right, and Restoration Angel attacks for 3, and Chris draws yet another land. And I think he might just pass the turn here, and Rich is going to play his second Restoration Angel. We would sing again for you, but that probably wouldn't be too good.
We'll save that for the finals.
Ooh, a third Restoration Angel.
Wow.
All
So,
right.
yeah, Rich just clocking in. It looked like he was way out of this game, but Chris Marshall doesn't really have much to do with all that mana.
It looks like he drew a Supreme Verdict.
And that one's pretty good. A 2-point life swing as well as wiping the board here.
All right, so Supreme Verdict. Both of Restoration Angels will... No. Rich win. Okay, we should stop the match because they go to the graveyard. I think he was thinking Terminus. All right. Judge caught that immediately. That's great. And I think Rich is going to play his third Restoration Angel right here.
You have no reason not to put Chris on a 3-turn clock.
Yeah, and Rich also has Thragtusk, so if he untaps and manages to draw his 5th land, Thragtusk is going to come down. All right, there's a Restoration Angel.
Doesn't want to wait for the Thragtusk to get more value. He knows that he's playing against the clock right here with 2 blind obediences in
exactly.
play.
All right, so Rich breaks off on his 5th land. There's a Volcanic Strength, and he's attacking for 5, but there's the Azorius Charm. And Chris is now starting to use his blind obedience, which is very, very important.
Yep, brings life totals 10 for Rich Win, 13 for Chris Marshall. More importantly, though, puts that Resto on top of the deck.
Exactly. So Chris is going to draw. He's definitely looking for a Sphinx's Revelation to try to close out this game. Not sure what he drew. Oh, another land, it looked like.
Wow,
in the form
so
of a Hollow Fountain.
Rich Win might have a chance this game.
Yep. So Rich's prize going to pass, holding up Restoration Angel mana.
Yep, he knows that he doesn't have to play at main phase. He doesn't really have to worry about counter magic. There's only one.
Do you think there was any relevance for Chris to actually mill the Restoration Angel away?
Yeah, I probably would have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have so many lands that you don't really need all of them. And I'd rather have Rich drawing a random card than a 3/4.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe Rich is going to draw, a Mizium Orders or something.
But he could also draw land to enable his Thragtusks too.
Sure, but I mean, he doesn't even know that he has Thragtusk in his hand. I mean, he could assume, I guess. All right, so Restoration Angel's going to attack for 3. Chris will be dropping down to 10 life here. And I think Rich is going to just drop his Burning Tree right here. Just get another body on the board. It looked like he also has another Restoration Angel, so...
Yeah, number 4.
Yeah, number 4. But I think maybe Rich should just main phase. Just go 2/2 into Angel and just have 8 points of power on the table. Hoping to draw Volcanic Strength to end the game.
Yeah. It's definitely not a bad plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rich just has to not worry about another Supreme Verdict or not worry about another Terminus.
Yeah, let's see. Chris Marshall has access to 1 more Snapcaster Mage, 2 more Terminus, and 0 more Supreme Verdict.
Sure,
so
yeah.
he really only has to dodge 3 cards in Chris's entire deck.
Exactly. So, I really think Rich should go for it here. He wants to just... I mean, Chris only has 1 card in his hand.
Right.
And it's not much of a difference. I think he's going to do just that.
Exactly. He is racing the clock on those blind obediences.
Yeah, he is.
It's really possible that Chris just goes cantrip into Sphinx's Revelation and to kill you.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, so Rich just has to end the game as quick as possible. And even if... Rich has to end the game as quick as possible. All right, so there it is. Burning Tree Embassy.
Yep, he's going with your plan here. He's going to put 8 points of power on the board.
Yeah. And even if Chris does have another, Snapcaster for a Supreme Verdict or another Terminus, Rich still has double Thragtusk.
Right, it's not even that bad for him. So he's asking to see the graveyard. He's trying to figure out how many sweepers are left. He's going through that mental deck list.
Yeah.
So one
that's
Supreme Verdict.
exactly what he's doing.
So there are 2 Supreme Verdicts. There's 1 Terminus and 1 Snapcaster.
Yeah.
Left in Chris's deck to deal with creatures, he has...
Detention Sphere?
Yep. 1 more Detention Sphere, 1 more Devour Flesh, 2 more Ultimate Price, or only 1? I think only 1.
Yes.
So 2 direct kill spells, 1 Tameo, a few Azorius Charms. So really, he doesn't have that much to draw here.
Yeah, he's kind of drawing pretty slim. So I'm pretty sure Rich is going to drop the Restoration Angel as well. I think he just really has to do this here. Just take a chance and go for it.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, what he's thinking right now, he's like, okay, I have 5 power, my opponent's at 10 life. That seems like a 2-turn clock, but 2 blind obediences in play, it's not.
Changes it, yeah. And, yeah, sorry. Almost. He's like, I think I got to do it. Okay, and there's a Restoration Angel.
Yep, so he'll blink the Burning Tree.
He'll get 2 more mana. I don't think he'll do anything with the mana. He'll just pass the turn.
Pass.
Now, that Mizium Order is stuck in Rich's hand, and he could have played it previously, and Chris would have been at 6 life.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah, because Chris chumped that Locks on a Smiter that turn.
So Chris Marshall milling himself now, trying to find a Think Twice.
Or Forbidden Alchemy.
Or Forbidden Alchemy. He realizes that he needs a spell badly.
Yes. and I'm not sure what he drew, but it looks like a spell because he starts tapping. Oh no! Oh wow, that was a Terminus on top.
Wow, Sphinx's
Yeah.
Revelation too. So some good cards go to Chris's bin,
And I
but
think he just has 2 lands in his hand.
yeah, he does. All he can do is pass.
Oh wow! Rich draws for the turn. Looks like a Boros Reckoner.
Yep, draws Boros Reckoner. He won't play that here, I don't.
Oh, this is the
okay.
Power Flash. All right, so this is going to gain Chris 2 life. It's also going to gain Rich some life, but his life total is not very relevant.
Exactly. His life total is going to stay the same. He's going to lose 2, but gain 2.
2, yeah.
And Chris Marshall will go up to 12, down to 6.
Exactly. It's going to be very unlikely for Chris to actually drain Rich out, especially with Rich holding 2 Thragtusks.
Right.
So you might think, oh, 2 Blind Obediences, keep draining Rich, but it's going to be a while.
Yep. And
So
now
Chris is going to fall down to 6 life.
and he will definitely play the Boros Reckoner.
Yep.
His opponent didn't have the Wrath last turn, so
Unlikely he's going to draw it this turn.
exactly, especially since he milled the Terminus.
All right. So it's lethal next turn for Rich Win.
Yep. Even if Chris Marshall mills himself into a Think Twice, it's still lethal. He has to find 2 spells.
2 spells or a 1 spell that will deal with the creature.
Yep.
And he draws.
Oh, it was a spell.
Was it? I think it's an Isolated Chapel.
Oh, it might have been.
There's Tameo, there's Azorius Charm, there's Darkwater Catacombs.
Oh, yeah, Isolated Chapel.
All right, and Chris shows a bunch of lands, maybe frustrated, but more frustrated with himself for missing all those Blind Obedience triggers.
Yeah, he might have been able to buy himself one more turn if he played his Blind Obediences to the max.
Yes, definitely. At least 1 more turn. The other thing he could have done was double block the Flint Hoof Boar. That would have been out of the way and save himself some more life, I think. But alas, we're going to give you guys a chance to win 6 months premium.
Exactly. In the quarterfinals, we gave you a chance to win 3 months. Tell him Tor won 3.
Yeah, he won. Good job, man. I'm proud of that guy.
Yeah, Tell him Tor. And I was actually wrong yesterday. It is a legendary creature from Mirage, so.
It's a 5 mana,
Sorry, guys.
2/2 flanking, and when it attacks, all other flanking creatures you control gain +1/+1.
Pretty good. It'll probably
I
be
just
an
knew that
M14.
off the top of my head. That's how old school Magic I am.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
We didn't look it up last night.
nah.
So for the 6 months of Star City Games Premium, I'm going to ask you guys a question. You have to tweet in the answer. You can tweet at SCG Live. That's optional. What you have to include is this right here, SCG Premium.
SCG
Hashtag
Premium.
SCG Premium. Without that, your response won't be counted.
All right, we want to know in detail how exactly does banding work if your opponent had... No, I'm just kidding. Nobody knows how banding works.
Banding plus flanking plus Mindslaver.
Yes.
Go.
All right, what's the question, Zach?
The question is, in a few weeks, or rather next week.
Next week.
Well, yeah, I know, right? There's a big event going on. Now, it's a pro level event, not a Star City Invitational, not a Star City Open. It's a pro level event, and what I want to know is where that event's being held and what format it is. What do you think, Gerard?
I'm just speechless.
You're speechless? Okay,
Yes.
well, I hope you guys at home aren't speechless.
All
What
I'm
event
saying
is
is, for the finals, it's going to be my question.
that? Yeah.
Okay.
What format is it?
Sure.
What event is it?
Okay.
Hashtag SCG Premium.
All right. Well, good question, Zach. And we're going to go to sideboarding right now. Let's see. All right. So Rich Win is going to be bringing in 3 Boros Charms. He's going to bring in 2 Ray of Revelations. He's going to bring in 2 Zealous Conscripts, and he's going to bring in 2 Dormirate. So that's 9 cards he's bringing in. And Rich told me that he's going to take out his 4 Mizian Mortars. He's going to take out his 3 Volcanic Strengths, and he's actually going to cut 2 Malins because we feel that in this type of matchup, you really, really want to be really land light and just lots of threats. I mean, that game, look, Rich stuck on how many lands?
Yep.
2 lands for a while.
Yeah,
then he
2.
was stuck on 3 lands. Finally, he drew his 4th land, and he still managed to win the game. So, in a matchup versus Esper, and with such an aggressive Nyazu deck, I don't think you need many lands.
Yeah, the Esper control deck, it's so plotting, it takes so long to win, it relies so much on getting this little incremental card advantage with Think Twices and Supreme Verdict 2-for-1s, things like that, that I really like Rich's plan. I wouldn't want to side out any other cards.
Sure, so once again, you can see on the screen, it's going to be 2 Zealous Conscripts, 3 Boros Charms. Boros Charms really there to save all his creatures from a Supreme Verdict, save his creature from maybe an Ultimate Price. He's also going to bring in 2 Ray Revelations. You saw the Blind Obediences. If Chris actually used them, they would have been devastating. Chris also has a couple of Detention Spheres, so Rich wants to be ready with the Ray Revelations. Another cool thing with Ray Revelation is Chris plays with Nefali Drownyard. He's going to mill Rich. Maybe Rich will hit a Ray Revelation, pay 1 green mana, flash it back.
Exactly.
Yeah. And finally, the 2 Dormirades will be a Planeswalker threat that will gain Rich card advantage each turn if there's a creature on top of his deck.
Now, Rich Win sideboarding, a little more straightforward. Take out the cards that are good against other creatures, put in the cards that are good against control.
Exactly.
On the other side of the battlefield, Chris Marshall sideboarding, a little more complicated. Now, he has that one detention sphere in his sideboard, but if I were him, I would look at Rich's sideboard and I would say, okay, I'm just going to take out my other detention sphere. I'm not going to play either. I'm going to make those 2 Ray of Revelations just completely dead cards.
Well, what about the 3 Blind Obediences?
Well, if you're not going to use them, I might take them out too.
Okay.
No, it's definitely a tough spot for Chris Marshall. He either wants to have 5 enchantments after board or 0, I think. So he can go either route there. He'll definitely be bringing in Feeling of Dread, Terminus, Supreme Verdict. Only question in my mind is whether or not he brings in Dispel for the Boros Charms.
Dispel for the Boros Charms. I do not think bringing the Dispel is a good idea. The only thing he can really dispel is a Ranger's Guile or a Boros Charm, but I mean, for him to dispel a Boros Charm, that means he can't Wrath of God with 4 mana. He's going to have to hold up his Supreme Verdict until he has 5, and he's going to have both cards. So I think Dispel's out of the question. Personally, I think Chris Marshall is going to bring in 1 Supreme Verdict, 1 Terminus, 1 Feeling of Dread, and I think he's going to bring in the Detention Sphere as well.
Yeah, I think so too. The Dispels, I mean, you really only need it if you think the game will really come down to Supreme Verdict, Boros Charm, Dispel.
Yeah, but I just think he has those Dispels in there just mainly for other decks that play Sphinx's Revelation for the most part.
Right.
So I can't really see him bringing those in. And what do you think he's going to cut?
He'll cut a Dissipate, he'll cut a Jace Memory Adept. Those are the easy ones. After that, maybe something like a Forbidden Alchemy that's really like a late game card advantage spell.
Yeah, so I could definitely see that.
That's 3. That's Feeling of Dread, Terminus, Supreme Verdict. He would have to cut 1 more for the D-Sphere.
Maybe trim on a Think Twice.
Yeah, that's definitely not so bad. He oftentimes doesn't have time to flash those back.
Yeah, exactly. And I Think Twice is just not really that powerful of a card. If you compare something like Think Twice to an Azorius Charm, almost do the same thing. Sure, Think Twice could flash back, but just that 1 extra card I don't think is that relevant.
It sure would have been that game. Chris Marshall just needed to flash something back to find another spell. That's all he was looking for.
Yeah. Well, Chris is going to be on the play this game. I wonder if anything's going to be different here. Looks like Chris might have one sleeve that might just be cut.
Yeah,
sometimes the sleeves, rip, yeah. As you notice, none of these players are using Star City sleeves, because if they were, they wouldn't rip.
Of course.
Of course. All right.
Star City games are made of Darksteel.
Darksteel is correct.
Darksteel sleeves.
All right, so Rich says, yeah, not a big deal. Just replace the 1 sleeve. Judge is just checking it out, I guess. And we'll be underway in probably about a minute or so. You can see on the right-hand side, Ruben Bressler right there along with Rich Win. Ruben's doing the text coverage for you guys, so if you guys are at work or on the road and you guys obviously can't watch this, you guys can go back and just read about it, or you can watch it in a day or so and it'll be on Twitch TV.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, also, if you guys aren't familiar, if you're not up at 8 a.m. to catch this, we're going to be replaying the top 8, the top 4, and the finals match in between Standard and Legacy.
Sure. So that's going to be great. And we'll be back for Legacy at the start of round 3. So we'll get you a bunch of Legacy matches. You'll see some Jace the Mind Sculptors, some Deathrite Shamans, some Hem to Torox, and probably a whole bunch of combo decks.
Oh yeah, a lot of fetch lands too.
Yeah, a lot of fetch lands. So we'll see what happens. A lot of people were talking about that. There would be a lot of bannings for Legacy or whatnot, but it turned out that just Modern got hit pretty hard with a Blood Red Elf being gone and Seething Song being gone as well.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. The banning's really shaking up Modern.
Yeah.
What do you think the best deck is now?
Personally, I think Blue-White is the best deck. It's definitely my favorite deck. The most powerful deck, I would say, is most likely an Urzatron deck. Just busting out a turn 3 Karn is just really difficult for lots of decks to beat. And just getting a turn 3 Karn is not that unlikely.
No, it's actually pretty likely.
Yeah.
I played that deck in some PTQs, and I turned 3 Karn probably a third of the game.
Yeah, I actually did the math at home, and it's just over 31%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So Rich Win is looking at his hand. It looks like Chris instant mulligans, and so does Rich. I think. Oh, well, it was like the bluff mulligan. Rich is just like, I mulligan. No wait, I'll keep. All right. So both players mulligan, so they'll be shuffling up. Now remember, next week is SCG Open in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm going to try to make out the drive there and play some. I wanted to play this weekend, but I was happy to do commentary as well. If I were to go next weekend to the SCG Open in Cincinnati, I think I would play Blue-White-Red aggro with Geist Saint Traft, Boros Reckoner, Boros Charm, Azorius Charm, maybe some counter spells I'll throw in.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Anthony Lowry's deck,
Yeah.
similar to what you were talking about.
Exactly, yeah, something very close to Anthony Lowry's deck. I spoke with him after the tournament, And we thought maybe that there should be a 2-drop in the deck, just because his only 2-drop right now is a Snapcaster Mage. So even something like a blue-white Guild Mage might be really nice. You could just spend 2 mana to give your Geist Sand Trap flying.
Ooh,
it's just
that's
another
a nice interaction.
Yeah, exactly.
There.
And you could also detain a Planeswalker for 5 mana. So if your opponent has a Jace the Mind Sculptor, he would be kicked out of the tournament. But if you had Jace Memory Depth or Jace Grand Architect of Thought, you could stop that. You could stop a Tameo. Maybe somebody would be playing the new Gideon against you. Why not? And for Legacy, I would probably be playing Bug Charlotte's Agent. Just play some Underground Seas, sometimes the Torok, some Charlotte Agents, Thought Seizes, Force of Wills, standard package. So
You
those
do
would
love
be,
your Hymn to Torah.
Yeah, I really do like Hymn to Torah.
When was the last time you played a Legacy tournament without Hymn to Torah in your deck?
It's been a while. I think it was probably the first SCG Invitational I played in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So a few years.
Yeah, a few years ago. All right, so they're shuffling up, and we'll be ready to go in just about a second. Let's see if both players decide to keep their hands.
Who do you think the mulligan favors, the double mull here?
Well, both players mulligan one time, but I would say Rich Nguyen is favored on a mulligan.
Yeah, he can just come out far more aggressively. It seems like the control deck should be because they have the card advantage, but it's card advantage in the form of Augur of Bolas and Think Twice.
Yeah,
very
Augur
slow.
of Bolas is risky card advantage.
Yeah.
All right, so Chris leads off with a Dark Water Catacombs. Looks like from the M12 expansion.
Good eye.
Yeah, good eye. I think it was out at M10, M11, M13, right? It was like 4.
I don't
it's
remember.
It's been a while.
It's been in quite a few.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So there's a Temple Garden from Rich Nguyen. He's paying the 2 life, so this probably means Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Yep, he has his 1-drop. He has one of the most important cards in his deck.
And he'll pass a turn, and it looks like he's setting up for a turn 2 Loxodon Smiter, which will just be great. Let's see if Chris has an answer to the Avacyn's Pilgrim. And he does. All right, there's a Devour Flesh.
Yeah,
New
and
card from Gatecrash.
Also, Chris Marshall has another Devour Flesh in hand, so he's going to be able to deal with Rich Nguyen's second play, too.
Ooh, okay. So there's a Ray Revelation, one of Rich Nguyen's sideboard cards. We'll see if that comes in handy or not.
Yeah, not looking too good here, but you have to figure at some point in this game, Ray of Revelation is going to catch an attention sphere.
If Ray Revelation is good on turn 2, it just means that it killed the Blind Obedience.
Right.
But it's usually better late game. All right, so Rich draws another land, and he has access to 3 mana, so it means Boros Reckoner or Loxodon Smiter, and he chooses Loxodon Smiter. I could definitely agree with that.
Yeah, he just wants to get the more damage in. He wants to save the Boros Reckoner if Chris Marshall's planning on chump blocking.
Sure, exactly. So Chris cycles a Think Twice, plays a Hollow Fountain, and he just passes the turn. Rich draws a card for his turn, and ooh, there's a Boros Charm, something very nice for him. Protects him from a Supreme Verdict, the ultimate price or whatnot.
Yep, and the fact that Rich just drew that Boros Charm means that he probably will just play a land and say go. He'll wait on playing one of his 3-drops until he can back it up with Boros Charm.
Yeah, so he wants to wait for 5 mana, which I could definitely agree with here. Rich has 1 threat, that's all he really needs.
Yeah, because what happens if he plays a 3-drop and Chris Marshall plays a Supreme Verdict, then he has 1 threat left and 1 threat to deal 16 damage. Chris Marshall's probably favored there.
All right, we'll see if Rich decides to play another threat or just hold up the Boros Charm. All right, so he goes for a Boros Reckoner. Maybe he's just making Chris have the Supreme Verdict here.
Yeah, I can't say I really like it because after board, Chris Marshall has access to 4 Terminus, 3 Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, so it's more likely, although the Terminus, doesn't really worry about the Boros Charm.
That's true too.
Yeah. So Rich has 7 points of power on the table. And we'll see what Chris has to do about this.
I have to imagine he's just going to slam the Supreme Verdict. I don't see any other choice for him here.
Yeah, I would agree.
Unless he wants to play Augur into Devour Flesh, maybe try and get Rich Nguyen's last creature out of his hand.
Yeah, I think just Supreme Verdicting here is definitely the right play, knowing that he has Boros Charm in his sideboard, and Rich definitely brought the Boros Charms in.
Right, when you have access to 3 Boros Charms, yeah, and
he does just
agrees.
That. All right, so there's a Supreme Verdict, and Rich may be thinking, I should have not played another threat, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I really don't like his play there, but we'll see if he can deal the 16 damage before Chris Marshall takes over.
Yeah. All right, so there's a Stomping Ground, and now Rich is going to play Loxodon Smiter with Boros Charm backup, but unfortunately for Rich, it's just going to meet a Devour Flesh. And Devour Flesh says target player sacrifices a creature, so when you sacrifice a creature, if your guy is indestructible, it just doesn't really matter.
Yep, and Rich will have to telegraph this Boros Charm too with that untapped Stomping Ground.
Exactly, which is something he doesn't really want to do. Maybe he could get away with it and not do it. Yeah, he has to. That's just really, really unfortunate for Rich. I think if he just didn't play his second threat last turn, he would have been in much better shape.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, the more I think about it, I don't really like playing the Stomping Ground untapped because there are 2 ultimate prices in the deck. Those can't target it. 2 Supreme Verdicts, that would just be 1-for-1-ing. I might have actually played that tapped.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Ultimate Price can't target Smiter because Smiter is green and white. And Ultimate Price is a good removal spell, but it only kills a monocolor creature.
Yeah, and versus Rich Nguyen, really all it kills is Flinthoof Boar, Restoration Angel, Thragtusk, Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Yeah. Maybe something like Victim of the Night could be better, although Victim of the Night is double black mana.
Yeah, it's pretty tough on your mana. Black is the smallest color in Chris Marshall's deck.
Exactly. And if you were to play Victim of the Night for 1 more mana, you could just play Murder. Alright, so another sleeve becomes ripped for Chris Marshall. And he'll play in the Folio Drown Yard. And play on second Augur Bolus. Let's see what he gets off this.
Chris Marshall trying to gum up the ground here.
Oh, Sphinx's Revelation. This is really bad news for Rich.
Yeah, this game is going to be very quick. Well, relatively quick as far as Esper control decks go. But Chris Marshall has a great draw on the Mull to 6 and was able to take advantage of Rich Nguyen's overextension.
There's a Burning Tree Emissary. Doesn't really do too much against the Augur Boluses since they're both 1/3s. So Chris just chumps the Loxodon Smiter.
Yeah, but I like that. He just wants to keep his life total as high as possible. He wants to resolve a Sphinx's Revelation comfortably.
And I think Rich just has to play his Burning Tree and just really pass the turn. He doesn't have too many options here.
Yeah, even though the Burning Tree Emissary looks really embarrassing into that Augur of Bolas, Rich has to get some more pressure on the board. He knows his opponent has a Sphinx's Revelation. What's he going to do?
Yeah, it's just... I look like Rich was reading his Boros Charm. He's like, any chance this says counter target instant? Counter target blue spell.
Counter target X spell.
Yeah.
So Rich decides not to play the Burning Tree, just holding up Boros Charm, holding up Ray of Revelation.
Ooh, a Hollow Fountain into play tapped. I'm surprised. I wouldn't mind just playing a untapped Hollow Fountain and just Sphinx's Revelation for 4 right here.
Well, it looks like Chris Marshall's plan is to Devour Flesh or...
No, just chump block.
I don't think he's going to Sphinx's Revelation yet. Oh, okay, there it is.
3? Why wouldn't he just pay... I mean, he could just draw an extra card.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It seems like paying 1 life to draw an extra card is better.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with that, but...
Chris Marshall draws Jace Memory Adept, so that's still in his deck. He didn't sideboard like we thought he would. I really wonder what he took out.
I guess he just thinks that the Jace is just a good way to close the game, and he just passes the turn. I think I just would have played Jace there and sat on an Azorius Charm. It's just if Rich has the
well, he has another Sphinx's Revelation.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, I think he drew into it for his draw phase that
Oh,
turn.
wow. Okay, so again, I think I just would have untapped the Hollow Fountain, but Rich has a different idea in mind, which is definitely fine. So Rich decides to play Devour Flesh.
Yep, Chris playing Devour Flesh there.
Alright, and Loxodon Smiter goes to the bit.
Rich Nguyen will gain some life off that, but life total in this matchup doesn't really matter. Chris is trying to mill him out instead of deal damage.
Alright, so Rich is tapping some mana here. And what is he going to play? Just the Burning Tree Emissary and pass the turn?
Yep, holding 2 Boros Charms, but unfortunately for him, his opponent's at 19 life with Supreme Verdict available.
Alright, so Chris decides to use this in the Folio Drown Yard. And Rich hits 3 lands.
So definitely good for Rich. And there's a Terminus. That's going to put Burning Tree Emissary on the bottom of his deck. Boros Charm is not going to stop that.
No, those Boros Charms, all his sideboard cards are just sitting in Rich's hand.
Yeah, and you know, these Ray of Revelations, they look really good on paper, but sometimes all you need is a threat.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think Rich still wants to leave in his Ray of Revelations if this match goes to a Game 3, which I think it will.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We see Jace Memory Adept, we see Ultimate Price. These are all still in the deck. I happen to wonder if Chris Marshall sided out his enchantments.
Yeah, there's a good chance that he did. Alright, and Jace will mill 10 cards. And I think Rich could probably just pack it up here.
Yeah, I might not want to show him my sideboard cards.
Exactly, yeah. And that's 10. I mean, Rich could definitely kill the... Okay, he decides not to kill the Jace. I think I would have killed the Jace there, no?
Yeah, especially when your opponent's at 19 life. And after watching Rich play yesterday and some of the off-camera features, I noticed that he really held on to his burn spells as long as possible. He loves being able to go to the dome, just burn his opponent out.
Yeah. Maybe he's going to just do it now and kill the Jace. I mean, he doesn't want Chris to get another activation off the Jace. Oh, but he just passes? Okay. I mean, Boros Charm could just deal 4 damage to Chris, and then Rich could redirect the damage to Chris's Jace.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. It looks like he goes to activate the 0 ability of Jace, mill 10.
And Rich is going to allow this mill to happen. I think I might have just conceded in response here again.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to show him the Zealous Conscript.
Yeah, exactly.
I especially wouldn't want to show him the Rave Revelation.
Yeah, the Rave Revelations, just in case he hits one of them.
So his deck now has about 20 cards left in it. 2 Jace activations should close this game out.
Yeah, this is some interesting play by both players. And we'll see what Rich decides to do right now. I mean, just Boros Charming now is just... his time has passed. It's just too little too late.
Yeah,
and now it also shows that he did board in the Boros Charms. Maybe, sure you know the other person's deck list, but maybe you forget during sideboard and maybe you forget during a game. But instead, Rich decides to play a Boros Charm, and it will kill Jace.
End of turn Boros Charm. Now he'll untap. He'd love to draw a Thrag Tusk right here.
Yeah, I mean, it just won't do anything because Chris has doubled in the Folly of Drown Yards.
Yeah, it definitely won't.
But instead, he's going to Sphinx of Revelation.
That's fine, too.
Yeah.
Either way, Chris can't lose this game right now. Just like all these Esper decks get into these situations, these unlosable games, these games that are just so far out of reach for the opponent, but they have to go through the motions. They have to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, Chris's hand is just completely stacked here. Maybe we'll see if he left in his enchantments or not. Since he drew so much of his deck, we'll see if he drew a Detention Sphere or a Blind Obedience.
Right. It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, no Blind Obedience, no Detention Sphere. Maybe he did board out his enchantments.
Yeah, I don't know how much I like him because Blind Obedience is so effective against the haste creature that's Flint Hoof Boar. I don't know. It's an interesting play.
Yeah, and I mean, he really wants more life gain against Rich's aggressive deck. So I think I just would leave in Detention Spheres and Blind Obediences.
So Rich Nguyen trying to decide whether or not to play this 3/4 flash, I think.
Alright, so he drops a Restoration Angel.
Yep, Chris Marshall doesn't have a problem with that. He's 25. He knows that Rich Nguyen's library has at most 25 cards in it. That's 3 or 4 turns.
No, I mean, I think he's into the teens almost, because he got milled for 26 cards.
Right.
And then he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yeah, I guess about 20 cards. Yeah, just about. All right, there's an ultimate price targeting the Restoration Angel. Yeah, maybe Rich is going to just make it indestructible here.
Yeah, maybe get Chris Marshall below 20 life before he gets decked.
Yeah.
That's kind of an accomplishment.
Is that a Dorme Rade in Rich's hand?
I think it is,
yeah.
So he'll be able to help Chris. He'll be able to mill himself with Dorme Rade.
Yeah.
Get deeper into his deck.
Well, I mean, if it's not a creature, it just stays there, so we'll see what happens.
And even though Chris ultimate prices, he has enough mana for the double Nephalia Drown Yard activation. Although now that I look a little closer, does he only have 1 black available to him?
Yeah, he only has 1 black, and he used the Dark Water Catacombs and the Plains to play the ultimate price, and he has another Dark Water Catacombs between the Hollow Fountain and the Nephalia Drown Yard.
Right.
Sometimes players tend to kind of bunch up their lands, overlap them, try to fit everything on the screen so you viewers at home can see exactly what's going on.
Yeah, we saw Chris Marshall when he got above 15, 16 lands in the quarters yesterday. We saw him putting his lands in 4 piles with the Drown Yard on top.
Yeah, it was just a mess. We actually cut to that match in Game 3 and we just saw like 14 or 15 lands plopped in play, so pretty crazy. Rich is just, weighing his options here. He's thinking, should I save this Restoration Angel from this ultimate price? And he does just that. So he's using Boros Charms, I believe middle ability. I'm not sure how it's worded, but he's given Restoration Angel indestructible. And there's a Azorius Charm on the Restoration Angel. Yep. So now that Dorme Rade is definitely going to hit Restoration Angel, unless Chris decides to use the Fire Drown Yard in response. Do you think he'll do it or no?
Well, it's definitely the right play. We'll see if he's on autopilot yet or not.
All right, nope, so he does just that.
If I were Chris Marshall, I would definitely be on autopilot this game.
Yeah, I mean, after Strengths of Relation for so many.
Yeah, mill, dead.
All right, Dorme Rade will go to 4 loyalty counters, and Rich will check, and it's a Thrag Tusk. So Rich will get a Thragtusk in his hand.
Okay, pretty good, but definitely too little, too late.
Yeah,
all the
sure.
life gain in the world. Can't say Rich win.
Yeah, I mean Chris has another Sphinx's Revelation in hand. All right, so he'll cycle his Think twice at the end of Rich's turn. Chris untaps all his lands. Yeah, so as you can see, some of those lands are drifting off camera already. And Chris passes the turn to Rich.
Now, if you're Rich Win, how would you re-sideboard for Game 3?
I think I would just leave everything. I wouldn't really mind having those Rave Revelations in my deck. And there's a Dormirate that will go up to 5 loyalty counters, but this time he doesn't hit. Last turn, he hits the Thragtusk. This time, not so lucky for Rich. And Rich is going to drop the Thragtusk. So, I mean, Rich is threatened somewhat with a Thragtusk. The Dormirate is on 5 loyalty counters, and the Keswick Wolf Run, the only problem is, here's another Sphinx's Revelation.
The ultimate nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Draw 8 cards, gain 8 life.
So,
I think if Chris Marshall had just been milling Rich Win instead of drawing more cards, this game would already be over.
yeah, I mean, I think Chris missed off on 15 cards milled, so. I mean, it's not a big deal, though.
No,
Yeah.
it definitely isn't. Supreme Verdict, Feeling of Dread, Terminus in hand. He has every answer imaginable.
Yeah, so it looks like Chris most definitely boarded out his enchantments.
The only thing that'll save Rich Win is milling an Emrakul here. And boy, wouldn't that be a twist.
Yeah, it would. All right, so it looks like Billy P wins his semifinals match, so Billy P's onto the finals with his Jund deck. He wins 2-0, so congratulations to Billy P.
Yep, he takes down John Petrowski's Junk deck. So congratulations, John. You made it to the top 4. But nothing to be ashamed of, losing to unquestionably the best player in the top 8.
Yeah, Billy P is definitely the most experienced player and played on multiple Pro Tours and definitely a really solid player.
So Chris Marshall discards some cards there, and look at that. He did bring in a discard.
Wow, I'm really surprised about his sideboarding choices.
Well, he had 4 cards to take out in the 4 enchantments. He had 3 anti-creature cards, maybe the last card he brought in. He just brought in a Miser's Dispel.
Sure. All right, so Rich pumps up his Dormirate to 6 loyalty counters now, and he has a Restoration Angel. So he's been doing pretty good. First one, he got a Thragtusk. Second one, he bricked off. Third one, Restoration Angel.
Yeah, not so bad.
2 for 3 is pretty good. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I think that's a song, right?
It sure is.
Yeah. All right,
Meatloaf.
there's a Feeling of Dread on the Thragtusk. So Chris is buying himself more time. And it looks like he has his Nefali Drown Yard stacks ready. He put 3 lands under the one Nefali Drown Yard, 3 lands under the other Nefali Drown Yard.
That's how you know he's serious.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so Rich does have a Ranger's Guile here, so he might be thinking about using it. Maybe he's thinking about just holding it. Yeah, so he decides to hold it instead.
Yep, and Rich Win stuck with those 2 Rave Revelations in his hand. If I were him after this game, I'd probably show those Rave Revelations and then board him out.
You think so?
Yeah. Because
Maybe.
Chris Marshall, for sure, he has no enchantments in his deck. If I'm Rich Win, I want my opponent to keep no enchantments in his deck,
Yeah.
because it just dilutes it.
Sure. All right, so Chris draws an ultimate price and just passes the turn here. Rich is probably going to, yeah, so he drops a Restoration Angel. I definitely agree with that here, and he's just going to try to... But instead, Chris is going for a ultimate price on the Thragtusk, and there's a Ranger's Guile. And do you think Chris is going to dissipate this, or not even bother?
I don't think there's any reason to dissipate it. He's at 33 life. I don't see what can go wrong.
Sure.
I think Rich is winning this little battle here just by getting Chris to tap his Nephalia Drown Yards.
All right, there's a dissipate, though. So Rich will end this turn with a 3/3 and a 3/4 flyer.
Yep, ultimate price kills the Thragtusk, gets a beast. Restoration Angel target is countered. The ability is countered.
And Dormirate is very close to getting to his ultimate.
Yeah, I actually had to look up his ultimate because I didn't remember every ability that it did. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Haste, Double Strike, Trample, Hexproof.
There it is on the screen right there. The new Planeswalker from Gatecrash. Rich counts his deck. It looks like 10 cards.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. So this is Rich's last turn.
Yep, 1 Drown Yard end of turn, 2 Drown Yards main phase equals a very decked Rich Win.
Exactly. So it looks like we're going to a Game 3 between Rich Win and Chris Marshall. And remember, you guys still have time to tweet to SCG Premium if you guys know the answer to Zach Hall's question.
Yep, and in case you missed it, my question, what pro level event next weekend, or what is the pro level event next weekend, and what format is it?
Okay, so there's a Thragtusk from Rich Nguyen. The Domerade is now on 7 counters, so next turn it will go ultimate, but I think it's going to be too little too late. And Rich just can't really do too much. 33 damage is a lot of damage, especially Chris is another Supreme Verdict.
Yep, but he'll fight on. He plays a Thragtusk, goes up to 31 himself.
There's a Stomping Ground, and Rich will pass the turn after he gets milled for 3. So it's Sacred Foundry, and Avacyn's Pilgrim.
And with 5 cards left, he'll just pack this in.
Yeah, I think it's either 5 or 6. Yeah, it's just he can't really do too much. Mill.
Yeah, and there he goes. Puts those cards in his hand and concedes.
All right, so they're going to a game 3 between Rich Nguyen on the right side of your screen and Chris Marshall to the left of your screen. Rich didn't really have much of a chance that game.
No, he was out of that game right when he got Supreme Verdicted on turn 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And the Boros Charms really got stuck in his hand, and then he also, I think, just waited too long to kill the Jace. Maybe if he had, because look at that, if he had 10 more cards in his deck,
he would have had one more attack phase with the Domerade Ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
I mean, that's double strike. That's haste.
Yeah.
He at least has a chance.
Yeah, so
but I think
it would have been unlikely for him to deal that much damage, but still, I mean, if your opponent plays a Jace and you have a chance just to kill it, you really want to kill it.
Exactly. I think when Rich looks back at this game, he's going to look at that turn 4 where he played Boros Reckoner instead of holding up Boros Charm.
Yeah.
And say that's really where I punted this game.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I wonder if Rich will take out his Rare Revelations. I think I would just leave them in and just in case Chris wants to bring back his enchantments. If anything, I would leave 1 Ray in. Why not?
1 Ray is more than twice as good as 2 Ray. So
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
So players are looking at both players' deck lists one more time before they go into game 3.
Right, because just having 1 to mill, it just gets these blowout scenarios where if Chris Marshall does have 1 Detention Sphere in his deck, he can instant speed Ray of Revelation, get back a creature on the end step, attack with it, maybe steal a game.
Exactly. So once again, we have Chris on the left side of your screen, Rich is on the right side of your screen. I think Rich is going to be favored going into game 3. A, he's on the play. B, I like his deck a lot more. And C, he has a really cool red zip-up jacket on.
Yeah, it's pretty classy.
Yeah. Not taking anything away from Chris's blue t-shirt, but we'll see what happens. As you can see on the screen, we have Rich's sideboard, we have Chris's sideboard. Rich decided to bring in 2 Zealous Conscripts, 3 Boros Charms, 2 Ray of Revelations, and 2 Domerades. Last game, I think he's going to keep it pretty much the same for this game. On the other side, Chris Marshall did a little bit of a crazy sideboarding. Decided to bring in the Spell, a Terminus, a Supreme Verdict, a Feeling Dread. Maybe, do you think he brought in his second Jace Memory Adept?
I don't know. I only saw 4 cards he wanted to... Oh, actually 5 cards with the Dissipate that he wanted to take out. So yeah, I think he brought in those 3 ways to deal with creatures, 1 Dispel, 1 Jace.
All right. So I could definitely... I mean, who do you think's going to win the match?
I think Chris Marshall's going to win the match. The more I watch him play his deck, the more impressed with the card choice numbers he has.
Okay. Anything in particularly, or what?
Yeah, I really like the mix of Devour Flesh and Ultimate Price. I think that's really good. I saw people playing Murder this weekend. I wasn't a fan. I saw people playing Victim of Night this weekend. Really tough on the mana. Chris Marshall's mana is good. Chris Marshall's removal suite is really good. The 3 Terminus, 2 Supreme Verdict.
Sure.
Terminus is a lot better than Supreme Verdict right now, I think.
Okay. And you obviously agree with the 4 Sphinx of Revelations, the 4 Azarius Charms. There's just some cards that are just really staple cards in an Esper control deck, and most of the time it's always a 4 of. Right.
You have to have 4 Sphinx's Revelation. You have to have 4 Azorius Charm. These are the backbone.
Yeah. And do you like his creature sweep here with the Supreme Verdict to Terminus?
Yeah, I really do. I've been a lot more impressed with Terminus this weekend with all the Boros Charms cropping up than I have been with Supreme Verdict.
Okay, that's definitely understandable.
You still have to have some Supreme Verdicts because it costs 4, but you usually want to be casting Terminus.
All right.
If you have the mana.
Okay, so we see Rich's hand on the right side of the screen. Looks like he has 3 lands, so he's probably going to keep.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw Rest in Peace in there, so I'm guessing what he did, I think he swapped the Ray of Revelations for Rest in Pieces.
Really? Rest in peace. It's kind of surprising.
Yeah, well, I think he figures he wants a couple situational cards in his deck, and Rest in Peace better than Ray.
Alright, so he probably boarded out his Ray Revelations because he doesn't really want Ray Revelation with Rest in Peace. That would be kind of a number.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, so it looks like Rich decides to keep, but Chris has to mulligan down to 6 cards. So this could be bad for Chris, but mulliganing to 6 isn't the worst thing in the world. Mulliganing to 5 gets a lot worse, so we'll see if he's able to keep a 6-card hand here.
Yeah, Rich Nguyen kind of on 6 cards as well because of that Rest in Peace. It'll provide some late game advantage, but early in the game it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, Rest in Peace doesn't really do that much against Chris's deck. All it really does is stop a Think Twice, stop Snapcaster Mage, and it really has no other... I mean, I guess he can stop a Feeling of the Dread.
Yeah, but that's it.
But that's it, you know? It's... I don't know.
It's kind of strange. I would almost want Mountains in my deck over...
Or like even like Pillar of
Rest in
Flame or
Peace.
something.
Yes.
Just anything else. Lots of times Rest in Peace is just a mulligan.
Exactly. I really don't like that choice by Rich Nguyen.
Yeah.
He seems to have been struggling with these last 2 sideboard choices. The
Sure.
Ray of Revelations, the Rest in Peace.
Yeah.
No real good options for him, so I don't blame him for going with the Rest in Peace.
Yeah, I mean, if Chris did have Lingering Souls in his deck, easy choice to bring in your Rest in Pieces, but other than that, it's just kind of... Well, we'll see how the game plays out. The game's not won by sideboarding. It's won by dealing 20 points of damage for the most part.
There you go.
All right, so there's a Sun Petal Grove for Rich Nguyen. No Abacus Pilgrim on turn 1.
And Chris Marshall counters it with a Hallowed Fountain.
All right, so Rich draws a Thragtusk, and it looks like Rich has a pretty slow draw here.
Wow, no third land.
Oh, really? It was just a 2-lander. This could get ugly for Rich. Let's see if he draws out of it.
Ooh, Avacyn's Pilgrim. That's a little late for him.
Yeah.
We'll see if Chris Marshall has the removal spell.
Yeah, and that Rest in Peace could have been a Mountain there.
Yeah.
So, and there is a Ultimate Price.
Yep, Chris Marshall wants to keep Richard Nguyen mana hosed as long as possible.
Definitely. Ooh, a Boros Charm. And there's a Rest in Peace from Rich. So, Avacyn's Pilgrim will get removed from the game as well.
And Chris Marshall's Think Twices now are just cycling Azorius Charms.
Oh, well, he actually did draw a Think Twice, and he has Feeling of Dread in hand.
Yeah, so Rest in Peace not so bad.
Ooh, another Rest in Peace. That one's pretty bad now.
Yep, just like we saw last game, 2 Ray of Revelations in hand, now 2 Rest in Pieces in hand.
Okay, so Rich Nguyen gets milled for 3 cards by Chris. And Chris does not have a 5th land drop. Ooh, Flint Hoof Boar.
Okay, better than nothing.
Yeah, definitely better than nothing. Not good here, but I mean, it's fine, I guess.
Oh, and Chris will just stay on the plan of mill.
Oh, wow, that was pretty good for Rich. It was just 3 spells, no land, so. All right, land number 5 for Chris.
The Supreme Verdict is now up to drawing 2. Once it gets up to that 3 range, that's when it starts getting scary.
Exactly, yeah. So Rich will attack for 2 points of damage here, and I think Rich will just play a second Rest in Peace. Otherwise, he'll have to discard, I believe. Does he have a second Rest in Peace in hand? I thought he did.
Thought he drew one. Maybe it was Restoration Angel.
Okay. Ooh, 2 Sacred Foundries hit the bin for Rich.
Yeah, it must have been a Restoration Angel because he would have discarded. Wow, he didn't discard the Rest in Peace?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. He could have just played Rest in Peace.
Yeah, Chris Marshall has no way to kill the Rest in Peace. I'm not sure what he's holding it for.
Maybe he's worried about like a Detention Sphere on both of them, but that's... I would much rather have a Thragtusk in my hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, so Rich finally draws a red mana source in the form of Stomping Ground. So his Flint Hoof Boar is now a 3/3. And I think Rich just has to play his Dorme Rade and just start to... No, instead locks down Smiter.
Yep, he wants to get some pressure on, but...
Yeah, this is really likely that Chris just has a Supreme Verdict.
Right.
Terminus, yeah. Ooh, and he just miracles the Terminus. I think getting down Dorme Rade as quick as possible and just trying to go for ultimate is the best way Rich could win this game.
Yeah, well, he'll definitely still have that option available to him this turn.
Okay.
I imagine he'll, I don't know, he seems like he wants to hold the Dome Ray Rades until after all his other threats are gone, though.
All right, we'll see what happens here. There's a Temple Garden. I wouldn't mind just playing this Temple Garden. Ooh, if he goes for Smiter again here.
Yeah, but it looks like Rich views the Dome Ray Rade as a late game card advantage engine rather than an ultimate engine.
Yeah, okay. I mean, maybe Rich is concerned with getting milled out, and that's what's in the back of his mind.
Yeah,
or the front of his mind, actually.
He's already gotten milled for 12.
Yeah. All right, so Chris Marshall pays 2 life for his Watery Grave.
Yep, signifying the Sphinx's Revelation for 3 at end of turn.
And I'll pass the turn to Rich.
Wow, Chris has a lot of ways to stall creatures, to kill creatures in his hand. Feeling of Dread, Devour Flesh.
I mean, if Rich played the Dorme Rade, I think it would be on 6 counters already.
Yeah, Chris Marshall has no good answer to Domre Rade.
Yeah, especially if he did board out his detention spheres. He just has nothing. I mean, Domre Rade's going to get ultimate, and then all of Chris's removal, for the most part, just would be dead because your guys have hexproof and haste.
Right.
Yeah.
So
There's a Devour Flesh.
Rich Nguyen going to gain 4 life from that Devour Flesh. Move up to 22. Again, life total not relevant in this matchup.
And I think Rich is probably going to play 2 threats here. I think Rich should just play Burning Tree Emissary into a Domre Rade.
Yeah, that's pretty good. He has to get that Domre Rade online.
Yeah, he really
before
does.
he gets milled out.
Yeah.
And especially if he has no threats to follow up after the Domre Rade ultimate, it's not going to do any good.
All right, so Rich is counting 15, 18, 19.
Wow.
So, yeah.
He's pretty close to getting milled out. 19 cards already?
Yeah, and plus his hand and the cards in play.
Right.
So about half his deck is gone.
Yeah, Domre Rade might be too slow at this point.
Yeah, I think a few turns ago it would have been perfect, but now. So Rich plays a Burning Tree Emissary. I think it's got to be into Domre Rade.
Yeah, he's looking at the Boros Reckoner, flipping between the two.
I think it's in Dormer Rotting and just keep like a green mana open in case you had an Avis's Pilgrim.
Yeah, he goes for Boros Reckoner. He lets that 1 green mana go away, and we'll get milled at the end of turn.
All right, 3 creatures hit the bin for Rich. And Chris is on 13 life here.
Yep, and as this match heads toward its 60th minute, I want to remind you what's awaiting in the finals. We have Billy Postlethwaite against the winner of this match.
All right, there's a Supreme Verdict. And Chris is probably going to follow it up with the Augur Bolus here. All right, so there's an Augur Bolus. And Chris, gets a Terminus. This is bad for Rich.
Chris just has so much removal at this point that he can just 1-for-1 with these mass sweepers.
Right.
And
so there's Rich's 5th land, and as you can see, he doesn't have the Thractus in his hand. It would have been really nice if Rich didn't discard that Thractus and just was able to play it.
Yeah, I'm really not sure why he kept the rest in peace.
Yeah.
Maybe fearing the detention sphere.
Yeah, I'm not sure as well. I don't think Rest in Peace is that relevant either. But Rich is gonna tap some mana. I think finally he's gonna play the Domre Rade here.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah. And he'll make it go to 4 loyalty counters. Let's see if he hits or not.
Yep, he'd love to hit something that he can play, like a Flint Hoof Core.
No, just nothing at all. Kind of unfortunate.
Yep, and he'll keep the rest in peace in his hand in case Chris does have a detention sphere.
Alright, so Chris draws for his turn. Another Terminus, it looked like, right?
Yeah, another Terminus. He doesn't miracle that one. Rich doesn't have any creatures yet.
Yep. So Augur Bolus attacks the Domre Rade down to 3 counters. So I think they'll just go back and forth. Domre Rade will go to 4, Augur Bolus will knock it down. Until Rich starts playing some guys. Alright, again, Rich bricks off on the Domre Rade. He drew a Sacred Foundry this turn. Pretty bad for him. He's going to have to pay the 2 life to keep it untapped because he wants to go Restoration Angel and back up by Boros Charm.
Right, going down to 20 life, not a big deal.
Yeah.
Far more in danger of getting milled out than anything else here.
Oh, definitely. There's a big Sphinx of Revelation. So Chris, Sphinx of Revelation is for 4 right here. Bringing up to 17 life and just digging way deeper into his deck.
Yep, the writing might be on the wall here for Rich Nguyen. Chris is going to find a second Drown Yard soon.
Ooh, and a Tameo.
Tameo.
Yeah, Tameo's going to really put a damper on Rich's parade. I don't think he had a parade to begin with, but if he did, it just would have been over with.
I think Rich had like a 3-man parade, him and 2 Rest in Peace.
Yeah. All right, there's a Hollow Fountain. And yeah, Chris is just going to play a Tameo, and he's going to leave open mana for his Azorius Charm.
Yeah, if I'm Rich right here, I might be scooping to get my Legacy deck ready. Not really sure what he can do here. He has to deal 17 damage in the face of 3 sweepers, a Devour Flesh.
And he has to do it in like 6 turns or something because of the Fire Drown Yard.
It's going to be tough. He's going to have to ultimate that Domre Rade and somehow get a haste hexproof double striker.
All right, Restoration Angel comes down for Rich Nguyen.
Yep, I imagine it'll get Devour Fleshed.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. This is just like Chris's safest play right here.
Right.
Yeah.
He could also Feeling of Dread it, but they both do pretty much the same thing.
So instead, Chris just decides to discard.
Yep, it looks like he's going with the ultra safe play, playing around any kind of Rangers Guiles. Which
How's that the ultra safe play? Like, he just discarded a Think Twice instead of playing the Devour Flesh.
Oh, that's right too. You can't flashback the Feeling of Dread in response to Ranger's Guile because it's not in the graveyard yet.
Also, there's a rest in peace.
Sure.
And yeah, he only has 2 mana, so it just looks like Chris just discarded a Think Twice for no reason. I mean, not that it's relevant or anything, but even if you're just crushing your opponent, you should still try to, maximize all your plays and everything.
Sure. Yeah, he might want to save the Devour Flesh for a more high priority target.
Yeah.
That's my only thinking.
Okay. It's just because Chris had 8 cards at the end of his turn,
right?
And he could have just played Devour Flesh. All right, so Rich is tapping some lands here.
Yep,
probably just gonna play the Flint Hoof Boar.
Flint Hoof Boar comes down, and I wonder if he'll attack this Tameo or if he'll attack Chris directly.
All right, so he's giving the Flint Hoof Boar haste.
Yep. And now Chris's play looks a lot better because Feeling of Dread is going to tap them both down.
Sure. But now it plays into a Ranger's Guile.
Rich Nguyen still has Boros Charm up in case Chris Marshall tries to get Supreme on him, as well as 4 damage to the dome, just in case.
All right, so Chris draws for his turn, and wow, I think it was another Sphinx Revelation. That's
just in case.
Yeah, pretty much a nail in the coffin here. And this match has been going on for a long time, over 60 minutes.
Yeah, Rich Nguyen and Chris Marshall, really deliberate players here, but at the same time, they're not even playing that slowly.
Not really, just to have a lot of options, a lot's going on.
Nephalia Drownyard is
Take some time
grindy magic card.
All right, there's a Terminus. And Rich's going to put some guys on the bottom of his library.
Yep, boost his library count, just in case. Chris will put the Augur on the bottom.
And Rich untaps all his lands. Yeah, I mean, I would say this game is pretty much over here, or very close to it.
Yep.
I can't really imagine Rich doing anything to win this game.
And, it kind of goes back to what you were saying yesterday. These Naya decks, they really just don't have that much play to them, these green-white style decks. When an opponent gets control of the game, there's not much they can do.
Yeah, actually, we featured Mike Flores round 1, and I was saying, you know what, I don't think his green-white deck is going to do very good. And I saw him down at the lower tables. I'm not sure how he finished up, but there's a Thragtusk by Rich Nguyen.
The Thragtusk going to put him up to 25, and more importantly, put 5 points of power on the board. It'll just give Tameo a target, though.
I think if maybe Rich goes back and he could remake his sideboard, I think adding a Pithy Needle or 2 might have been nice. Stop Nephalia Drownyard, stop Jace, stop a Tameo.
Yeah, I don't think Nephalia Drownyard was high on his radar, though. Not a card he's really worried about.
Yeah. He probably thinks, I'm either going to beat my opponent before that point, or if I can't beat a Drownyard, I'm going to lose anyway.
Right. And there is Jace. That'll speed it up.
Or you know what? Maybe Rich could have had a couple of Acidic Slimes in his sideboard. That would have been much better. Like 2 Acidic Slimes with his Restoration Angels.
I like Acidic Slime a lot. It's probably as bad as it's ever been with how fast the format is right now.
Sure.
But against this deck?
Yeah, I think having 2 Acidic Slimes would be nice. That way he could actually hit like a Blind Obedience, or he could hit a Detention Sphere, or a Nephalia Drownyard,
right.
Or just, mana hose your opponent.
Jace Memory Adept ticks up, mills Rich Nguyen's Boros Charm, and draws Chris Marshall a card. Maybe he wants to get it out of Boros Charm.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, he saw game 2 that they got Boros Charm, and now he's thinking, hey, I'll just bring it up to 5 loyalty counters.
Yep, so the Charm will take out the Tameo, but that's Chris Marshall's less important Planeswalker right now.
Exactly.
He'd way rather have Jace, just end the game.
All right, so Thragtusk will be tapped because of the Tameo's ability from last turn. And Dormirati goes up to 6 counters. Hits an Avacyn's Pilgrim.
There it is. That's what we were waiting for. The Pilgrim will come down.
Yeah.
Threaten 1 damage on the Jace.
So I think Rich is going to just have to play both threats this turn. He has a Boros Reckoner and, of course, Avacyn's Pilgrim that he just hit off the Dormirati.
Yeah, he can't afford to wait around. He just has to hope Chris Marshall has nothing but land.
Yeah, but I mean, he Sphinx's Revelation for, I think, plus 13 cards this game, I think it was.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. All right, there's Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Pit Scorpion asking on Twitter, how many cameras do you guys have? Meaning, how many games could you record at one time? The way our feature match area is set up, we have 4 feature match stations, 2 off camera, 2 on camera.
I think he wants to know how many could we record at once.
Oh, 2 matches.
Yeah, 2 matches. Yeah. He's probably a camera guy himself. Meanwhile, Chris Marshall mills Rich once again, and I think Rich is just 3 turns away now. Oh wow, 2 turns now because he just plays the second the Follow Your Drown Yard.
Right. Here's Jace. Jace will mill 10.
Yeah, he'll mill 10.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
9, 10.
11 maybe.
That looked like 11. Yeah. I think Rich has like 9 cards left, right?
Yep, 9 cards exactly. So that's 2 turns. And I think Chris Marshall's going to be able to survive with 3 sweepers and Azorius Charm.
Yeah, I guess it was just 2 turns anyway without the Follow Your Drown Yard. Unless Rich could have actually, killed the Jace.
Yep. Oh boy, here are the Drown Yard piles.
Yeah, so this is just Rich's last turn, actually.
Yep, Rich has to do 17 damage this turn. And again, if that Dorme Rade had ultimated, he might have had a shot.
Yeah, I mean, even if he kills Jace here, he's still just dead next turn.
Right.
Because of the second Drown Yard.
He would have to kill Jace and 2 Drown Yards. He would have to restart the game with the Karn Ultimate.
Karn Ultimate.
That would do it.
All right.
So Rich Win is drawing Slim. He needs a Karn Ultimate.
Yeah, and once again, I think Dorme Rade might have been the factor here. It still would have looked really bad for Rich, but at least Dorme Rade would have been ultimate.
Right.
It would have been ultimate like 3 turns ago at least.
The haste is so important versus this Esper control deck with all its sorcery speed sweepers.
It really is. I mean, Rich was just playing his creatures into Chris's removal, and now Rich is just stuck with that rest in peace in hand.
Right. Judge gets Rich a Consolation Beast token.
Can Rich take that Beast token home with him or no? Or is it Star City property?
Only if he won the tournament.
We just got confirmation it's Star City property.
Wow.
So, we apologize, Rich.
Prosecuted for theft if he took that home.
All right, so Rich points to the Jace, counts his library once again. He's like, why did I not play Battle of Wits, really?
Must be kicking himself here.
So Rich draws a pretty much useless Loxodon Smiter.
Yep, it's all over but the crying here. Rich Win just milking his camera time.
Yeah, he really is.
Nope, bricks off.
Yesterday Rich had a good luck Panda wristwatch. Today he didn't wear it. And what do you know? Loses.
That's the difference.
Yesterday, undefeated.
Today, defeated.
Yeah. So we're going to have a finals of Chris Marshall versus Billy P. Classic Esper Control on Jund matchup.
Yeah, kind of a throwback to Shards of Alara when these 3-card combinations were all the rage, but this is Ravnica.
Yep. I guess Rich had a bit more cards, but he's still losing the Jace. All right, and there's a handshake. Rich Win, a good sport, in defeat. Drove home 2.5 hours, didn't sleep, took a shower, and then drove back.
All to lose in 66 minutes.
It's all because of that wristwatch he forgets at home.